Clara Usón, welcome to ChiassoLetteraria.
Grazie.
My first question. In your last novel, Le Belve, you explore the 1980s Basque conflict through two central female voices. One is based on the historical figure Idoia López Riaño, known as La Tigresa. What was it about her story that drew you to her, and how did you navigate the balance between historical documentation and the creative process of finding her specific narrative voice?
What drew me to Idoia was all her contradictions. I mean, she was my contemporary, so we share a part of the history of Spain. I was one of those people that were afraid of ETA, the terrorist group. She was a member of ETA. So, and she was, to start with, she was not ethnically Basque, okay, because there is an ethnic component to the Basque nationalism, because the Basque people weren't even conquered by the Romans, so they take pride in the fact that they are different. They have different physiological, like they have big ears, they have big noses, and all that is what. But she was the daughter of migrants, and in the nationalistic, atmosphere, I mean, people who come from other parts of Spain, migrants, were despised. They were called maquetos. So she became a part of this very left-wing and nationalistic terrorist group that thought that they would reach independence through bombs and killings. That never works, didn't work this time either. But at the same time, she belonged to the group of people that these ethnic nationalists despised. That's a first contradiction. Second contradiction, second thing that, she was incredibly beautiful, and she was very vain. So her companions in the terrorist group, in the terrorist cell, asked her to be discreet, but she didn't like that. She wanted to attract, the gaze of males. So she was very vain, she was frivolous, she loved partying, so she escaped from the terrorist cell to go to discos. They say that she had flings with policemen. So there were all these contradictions. She was, in a way, a very indisciplined terrorist, but very ruthless, because age 23, she had already killed 23 people. So all of that, like, why did this woman become she could have been a model, and she decided to become a killer. So all of these things, in a way, is the opposite of other characters that they've worked with, were victims. She's the victimary. And I want to understand why. I always try to understand, why do people kill on the name of dogmas? How can they do that? And that's what drew me to her.
The other woman in the novel is Miren, an adolescent whose life is shaped by violence in both the political sphere and her own domestic space. In your view, how do these personal and political struggles maybe influence each other?
Well, Miren, in a way, has many similarities with Idoia, in the sense that she's also the daughter of people from outside the Basque country. But whereas Idoia mixed with Abertzale, a very left-wing and nationalistic Basque people, she belonged to the opposite nation. So Idoia was a Basque nationalist, and Miren's daughter is a calamitous policeman, an awful guy. I mean, he's an abuser. There are very few things that can be said about his father. And he's been sent by the police to the Basque country because they didn't know what to do with him. And many policemen were sent to the Basque country as punishment. Okay, that was no good also, because the more stupid and ruthless policemen were sent there, which didn't help. And her father is involved in the dirty war of the Spanish government. The Spanish government had the great idea of launching their own terrorist group, because they thought that the laws didn't allow them to deal with ETA as they wanted to deal with ETA, which was they kill us, we kill them. Forget about proceedings, trials, all that. So Paco, Miren's father, is involved in that, and also that allows me to go to dwell and to explain about the dirty war, which we don't speak about in Spain. Okay, but like they killed 27 persons, 27, of which at least 9 had nothing to do with ETA, were casual civilians. And that was a very, and that was also a very corrupt terrorist group. So I kind of counterbalance. But Miren, apart from that kind of political side of her, she considered herself not to be neither Spanish or Basque. She was kind of fed up of it all. She didn't want to have, she tried to have her life. She was an adolescent, and she tried to discover life and love, like adolescents do, in a very hostile atmosphere, both in the house, because of the father and the mother, who wasn't at all happy in the Basque Country, and because at that time, living in the Basque Country during those anni di piombo, was living in a very hostile atmosphere. You had the violence of ETA and the Abertzale group, and the Abertzale supporters, and then you had the violence of the police. There were several police, different police groups. They were kind of the Guardia Civil, la Policía, many. And so it was. There were many things you couldn't say. You couldn't say. You were very kind of. You had to navigate that. You couldn't even. There were a lot of killings around. And so she tries, in a very hostile atmosphere, almost a war atmosphere, she has to have her own life. And eventually, the political pressure, what happens, who father is, who leads to catastrophe for her.
Thank you. Thank you for answering our questions.
Thank you.